Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Magic the Gathering Arena. Today is Friday, January 31st. We are 2 hours from this ranked draft ending, and we are 6 hours and 17 minutes from the season ending in its totality. As far as the gold tier 4, clearly we're not going to get any higher, and bronze tier 3 for playing ranked draft. Hopes are high that the next season we have a ranked draft for Theros Beyond Death instead of a ranked draft for Throne of Eldraine. Honestly, it really wouldn't even be much of a problem if they stuck with ranked draft Throne of Eldraine, as long as they didn't go any further back. It would be kind of weird if they went back to some of the previous expansions and had a ranked draft for like War of the Spark or Ravnica, one of the Ravnicas, or the Core 2020 set. But then on the other hand, if they are just going to, for the next few months, have ranked draft and sealed draft of only Theros Beyond Death, that's going to be very Theros Beyond Death centric. Why not both, I suppose, is the real answer there. Like, what really stops you from doing a ranked draft for Eldraine and all the other expansions, particularly since they just bought drafts anyways? Those things have already been programmed. But yeah, if we look at the advanced things, we can do a traditional historic event, we can do a traditional standard event, we can do a sealed Beyond Theros, we have a ranked draft of Throne of Eldraine, we have the historic events, standard events, traditional draft for Theros Beyond Death, which would probably be the one that would interest me more than anything. 1500 gems to maybe get back some other gems if you win. Like, how many victories would you have to get? You'd have to get 5 victories or 3 wins to break even, and 4 wins to profit. The guarantee on there is not high enough for that to be worth it, whereas this ranked draft only costs 500 gold and then actually gives you gems even if you have 0 wins. Although, in all fairness, even if you got 7 wins before you lost 3 games, you'd still only really make 950 gems, which puts you really, really low as far as the next expansion happens. I suppose we have some white cards we need to play. So let's continue to experiment with our white cards and our white deck. This is pretty much how we're going to go going forward. I did have a amusing thought that if for some reason streaming or using OBS got my account banned on Magic Arena, I probably would just jump back to Hearthstone. Like, I'd be like, fine, I'll go back to Hearthstone until the Marvel games come back. I mean, that's I really wouldn't spend a lot of time or energy trying to get unbanned or anything like that. My overlay software does not seem like it wants to work at all. It's just not installing. So there's probably a new version of it I need to go and seek out and spend 5 minutes to download a new version and reinstall it. I am at a point now where I kind of know the cards well enough that I am not just right-clicking a lot to see what the cards do. So now would be the time to step up the streaming visuals a little bit and put in the overlay software for as little as it probably will help. Alright, let's just double check. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional mana. Force First Strike and Mentor. Right. Put that on the ground first. And then I'm gonna put this on the field. He didn't bother to do anything fancy. I did that wrong, didn't I? I should have attacked. Well, let's ask about Mentor. Mentor probably would not. Yeah, with lesser power, not equal power, so I wouldn't have, Mentor wouldn't have worked on that character anyways. You would have to constantly be more powerful, or gaining more power, and I'm not really sure how that character would do that, so Mentor is probably not as useful as I was thinking. Anyways, yeah, if I got banned, I'd just go back to Hearthstone for a brief time until the Marvel card game comes out. Unless I wanted to try Gwent, like it might be an interesting excuse, for lack of a better explanation, to go try the single player content of Gwent, or play something completely different for a brief time. Maybe jump around quite a bit to different card games. I'm not sure I would particularly go any different direction for something that isn't a card game. As for the accountability section of this stream, I've been playing Fez. I've been failing miserably to keep an eye on the videos uploading, so my videos really haven't uploaded, which sucks, but beyond that, yeah, playing Fez and enjoying it fine. Interesting revelations about Phil Fish being kind of a jerk on Twitter and getting in a fight with both mainstream video game journalists and gaming gators in separate occasions.
Trust me.
Then at some point, just seemingly in anger, canceling any plans for a Fez 2. Not to say that the 2 or 3 other people that worked on Fez couldn't make something somewhat similar, and I don't know if you really, since Fez's graphics are just kind of low polygon flat imagery, it probably wouldn't sell very well in modern time anyways,
let's try this.
because it looks way too much like
for now, but not forever.
A low effort asset flip game that I could imagine people getting very immediately confused and believing that to be the exact case of what it is and not buying it. Yeah, Phil Fish apparently a bit of a jerk, maybe a troll, but it sounds like he wasn't even really trolling. And in a lot of ways, I imagine his attitude on Twitter was just an example of a way a lot of people act and feel in the world, and as far as people on Twitter in general. He just didn't have the common sense to self-censor himself a little bit more and play to the crowd. I suppose Notch is another character that you could kind of say that's true, although I don't think... no, Notch is pretty much the same story. And yeah, there's some craziness there. I imagine if I was going to make a video game at this point, I would have all employees, including myself, not be on Twitter or any social media sites like that publicly. It's not untraditional I don't know how to say it any other way. It's pretty traditional for people who work at jobs to simply keep their mouths shut and not act as some kind of spokesman via some public forum. I'm pretty sure any job I ever worked for would not have been happy if I was out there representing myself as having some authority to speak on behalf of any company I worked for, and that's kind of the problem, is that people who work at a lot of video games companies do often get this clout and make it look like they are speaking on behalf of the company when they really aren't. Alright, so double strike with vigilance now. And then no attack. No blocks. Put that on the field. Put that on the field. Activate that. This card did not trigger this card. The Hushbringer, while I kind of like it as a card, actually does not synergize at all with this deck. I need to take it out. Yeah, let's just double check on this. Play this. Play this. Do all attacks. But yeah, I'm playing Fez. It's going fine. I pretty quickly have collected what I imagine is approaching half of all the content, all the collectibles in the game, depending on how many secrets there really are to be revealed. There definitely is a feeling that Fez was one of the major games that was overhyped by the likes of Giant Bomb, and they talked about it for probably a month, and then they probably re-talked about it in the Game of the Year. And whether you're getting hyped because of a podcast or by video games journalists, or whether you're getting hyped by your friends, it definitely is a game that feels like I was overhyped for in retrospective as I'm playing it. It's a fine game, but it's nothing great, and it does kind of hurt that I played The Witness before this game. It kind of hurts that it's been 8 years since Fez has come out. It hurts that video games in general have kind of changed quite a bit, and they're not.
Finally, a chance to prove my skills.
They're not really designed to
anything to support my allies.
To allow for small indie games that look like small indie games back in the day. Now if you're making a small indie game, people expect something that is at least halfway to Hellblade Suna's Sacrifice. Not a 2D, 2.5D platform puzzle game. I mean, those can still be fun, but then they sell on Steam for probably, well, let's just do no blocks, and then I guess I can't trigger that, so. ahead and attack with this. And yep, I kind of would like for today's stream to end a little bit early so I could get back to playing some Fez. Now, I need to do something non-YouTube related tomorrow, so I'm also having that slight problem of there being not enough hours to sleep with my insomnia and everything being still pretty crazy. And so I'll probably fall asleep for most of today. You didn't calculate the first strike there. Which then just means I need one more thing. Which I had because I had Mentor. And I didn't know that was going to happen either, so in all fairness. My server, I think, has paused the resilvering process of the ZFS RAID array. I don't know if it is a RAID array using ZFS, so that is right in this instant. It's not always accurate. You can make ZFS arrays that aren't RAID arrays. Also, it's a RAID Z3 array, which means the maximum amount of redundancy I could possibly put. I think the new version of the software, which the software itself is insane because it's running on Debian Linux, but it is compiling and using a like Sun Microsystem style CentOS style package, an RPM package. It's like using that in a crazy way to make a kernel module to change how the kernel, the main program of an operating system, works. So it is really just jumping through a lot of hurdles to get compatibility for something that's not particularly directly supported. Anyways, I think the new version of the software intentionally stops the resilvering process to finish the scrubbing process, which is the error checking process, instead of running those at the same time. So it kind of looks like nothing's happening, but the speeds of the reads and writes are changing every time I check the status, even though the numbers aren't really going up, or the hours aren't really going up too much. The new software doesn't actually tell you how long the scrub itself should take, and I think that's a little bit different and a little bit weird. So the scrub itself could be a week, a month, even longer. Probably not, though. Seems like a week at most. Meanwhile, I learned that because I'm using the remote connection software SSH, that there's a nice little program called Screen that if you just type Screen the first time you make an SSH connection, and then you type Screen-R to resume, you'll go back to your previous SSH connection, which helps when you tend to get disconnected, as I do, when I turn off the Wi-Fi or lose Wi-Fi connection on my cell phone, which is what I'm using to connect to the server most of the time. So I had, as a part of trying to recover the partition that messed up, I had the software run and it was ready to go, and then I lost connection, and by losing connection, then I couldn't do anything more. Does this have death touch? No, just lifelink. Alright, well, I'm just gonna attack with this and use this as a defender. So yeah, things seem to be going fine there. So everything's going good. I would say I'm very like kind of proud of myself to get back to playing games, and I'm not just goofing around and completely distracting myself. On the other hand, the other project, the digital screen, I haven't been working on at all because I've been playing games instead. So I need to kind of swing back into that project too. There's kind of no solving the problem of there's just never enough hours to do everything you would like to do. Attack. And, well, frankly, this guy could just, he can block me if he wants to, I don't care. Highly unlikely that he has two spells that would kill this guy unless he had murder, and if he had murder, he'd probably be better off playing it here. Alright. And so we're just gonna attack non-stop. Alright, and we don't have a ton of video game news, but there's a decent amount to mention, I suppose. And I suspect that give it 2 more weeks and we will start to see a little bit more activity in the video game world. That being said, a lot of things that were supposed to come out in 2020 have already been pushed and are now being said that they aren't coming out in 2020. Well, give that lifesteal. And sure, why not give that lifesteal? Whenever you put a 1/1 counter on a creature, alright. Is there any reason why we wouldn't want to do that? So that just buffed him up quite a bit. I could have spread the love, I suppose. Yeah, there's no reason. Just give this lifesteal. Again, give this lifesteal again. He has only 1 flying creature. Give this lifesteal. Put that on the field too. We have so much mana. So yeah, let's, I guess, just cover the video games, and if we get done, we get done. I don't suspect that we're gonna have much trouble getting the daily quest done. See what we want to kill first. Probably these things, or you know what we do? We kill that first before anything else. Yeah. Let's see. Extra life. Extra life. Extra life. Probably should just buff the second one up. So we have a game here on Steam called Ultimate Disc Golf, which is Frisbee Golf, Disc Golf, which looks like it's mostly an asset flip game with probably a pre-bought asset of Disc Golf too. Although, in all fairness, I kind of don't know what you would do to make a Frisbee Golf or Disc Golf game. You'd probably not put it in a world where the grass is high, first of all. So, because that's unrealistic. Or you'd put it in a really crazy world that you couldn't recreate in reality. Let's see, Ultimate Disc Golf is $9.99, no discount, and is English with alleged full audio. I did have a thought that it might be kind of cool if somebody made a game set in a high fantasy world like Skyrim, like the Elder Scrolls universe, those high fantasy type worlds, but it was a horror game. Maybe like a Resident Evil game, even a horror action game, because you don't see a lot of combination there. On the other hand, though, pitching a horror game is always hard because there's limited people that want to play horror games, in the same way that there's fewer people that want to watch horror movies. Having people swear off an entire genre is not great. See, Gamma Sutra has an article here. Changes are coming to E3, including new quote experiences, and promises of data security. Experiences are the buzzword that they've been pushing specifically, as far as trying to get more non-journalists to show up. Like, they don't want they don't want E3 to be the old E3 where it's just a bunch of industry insiders and mainstream video game journalists showing up. They want it to be more like a PAX event. Now, as far as data security, you should believe it when you see it. There definitely should be better and more data security, certainly, but I'm not sure you can just believe their promises there, since they've already screwed up once. The thing I would say in particular is that the E3 cannot become a annual Disneyland or Disney World. So it really can't be just experiences. It can't be the equivalent of Nintendo Land that's being built by Universal Studios in Japan. So you can have experiences, but they really are going to boil down to the equivalent of a Comic-Con or an anime convention at best. It's going to be a bunch of sweaty fans, the stinking fans, people coming out having fun, potentially acting inappropriate. These are all a lot of criticisms on the people that you're trying to get there, and that is actually only a small percentage of people that would go. But the actual events, compared to like a Comic-Con, it's going to be panels of people talking, which would be something. It would be a slight improvement from something like I should have played this, shouldn't I? Something like a GDC. If there were more speeches given out by game developers and or more just presentations that were showing off more bits of like hardware and gaming peripherals and things like that, that would feel like you're doing something more. Otherwise, it's just going to be the same old, same old. There are a lot of booths that are either showing footage of games, or a lot of booths that are allowing people to play games. And the problem with those is that you end up standing in a lot of long lines, which it's not really worth it to go to E3 if you're just going to spend most of your time standing in lines. I would also argue that Disneyland and Disney World has the like double day pass and things like that, specifically so that when you can't see everything, you come back after a week pass or a month subscription or just an annual pass or something like that. The fact that it's always there gives that feeling that you could always come back and see what you missed. Whereas if you don't go to E3 for the week it's happening, you miss out on all of that. So it's definitely not the same thing. So your experiences have to be, can't be the main focus. You have to offer something that's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime thing of very high value. And if E3 really can't figure out something of value to offer, then it does kind of feel like Sony has the right idea, where if they did 200 plus events just in different locations where they could reach more people in smaller increments and smaller groups, that might be the better experience. If the equivalent of E3 happened at inside every city with over 1 million people in it, there would be a lot more people that would have to travel a lot less to see those presentations. So I don't have a lot of hope. It would be amazing if they did something really ingenuitive and innovative, but I don't really believe it. And previous E3s, before they started focusing on trying to make it fan-centric, were just all about the keynote speeches. And the keynote speeches, having now watched a couple years of them, are pretty obviously not really worth your time, because they announce games way too early and it's just trying to build up hype. You know what I would really like to do, and I don't know if there's much of an initiative to this, is if Valve had a booth, or PC Gamer had their thing, anyways, but if anybody who kind of is trying to push PC gaming had a booth, and they were just saying, let's just show all the games that are already available. So let's make a concerted effort to highlight the games that are already out and would potentially be playable as of today. Just highlight games that came out in the last year on PC. That would give me a lot more information than a keynote speech that's going to try and hype me on games that aren't going to come out for 2 or 3 years. That E3 has been particularly bad about even like the Xbox, the Microsoft keynotes and the Sony keynotes. They've been particularly bad about even just highlighting games that are on their consoles that are already out. Once a game has come out, the hype cycle is pretty much over. I don't think I have any abilities here. So this might just be a tie till the end of the game until something different happens. Moving on, Gamer Sutra has an article here. The Oculus Store made almost 5 million on Christmas Day. Okay. Is that a lot for units? Let's see. You take 5 million, divide it by an Oculus Rift, which would be, let's say it's $250. That would give you 200,000. Yeah, 200,000 units being sold on Christmas Day of the hardware, or they probably got most of that the hard way through software $55 to $60 a pop. Okay. What do we want to do now? Attack with this, attack with this, attack with this, and attack with this, and attack with that. Let's just go all out. Because now he's in trouble. Of course, now I'm in trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if a decent amount of the Oculus Store sales were based on hype and speculation for Half-Life Alyx, which I guess will play on some of the Oculus headsets. Right, so did I just lose? I think I may have just lost. Yeah. Yeah, I think he could probably do 12 damage to me. Let's get rid of this. Alright. Okay, what am I gonna do? Exile target permanent opponent controls with converted mana cost of 30 or more. Alright. You're gone. This one has pacifism on it. So we are fine to go tit for tat now and see if that works. I'm mostly getting lucky here. Next we have a game on Steam called Skate Master Tachiko, which looks like a Game Boy style game. It's in color, so I can't say I hate it too much, but it still feels like a very simplistic game that is just getting put out. Seems Mexican in origin if I was to guess, or maybe Brazilian. Latin of some sort if I was to guess. $1.99. Yeah, English, Portuguese, Brazil. So yeah, the Portuguese still doing a decent job of, let's see, doing a decent job of kind of pushing their products on Steam, even though a lot of their products tend not to be the greatest. Let's see, Gamma Sutra has an article here, mobile Yu-Gi-Oh! And what is that, Pro Evolution Soccer titles are Konami's top revenue earners earning games this year, which shouldn't be really surprising because, let's face it, there hasn't really been any other Konami games worth even mentioning. Now, there is a rumor that Konami is maybe making a Silent Hills reboot, and maybe that is even Kojima is going to come back to Konami after that point and work on more Silent Hills. I don't find that really believable. It would be really crazy. Turn non-permanent with the highest converted mana cost among permanents to its owner's hand. Let's see. Alright. I don't think I can block this. But I can block this. And I have vigilance, so there's no reason not to attack. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Come to GDC to better understand the challenges of game industry unionization. Of course, they're just promoting their sister company, GDC. Now that the Game Workers Unite, which is a UK offer, I guess probably GDC may be more focused on the UK people than the United States CWA union unionization talk. If anything, I would say that the talks and efforts to actually be unionized have actually seemed to move faster than I thought they would. I would have almost certainly guessed 2 years ago that that talk would have fizzled. But with the CWA helping North American video game companies potentially unionize for the right reasons and negotiate for the right things, which is a big if, there is room for it to actually happen. Now the UK is in the middle of it's in the middle of Brexit, to just recently mostly accomplished Brexit, so it may very well be a case of they don't have anything that they can focus on to unionize on. So we'll see if that happens. If that happens or not, it's still take a lot of effort. And I don't actually know how easy or hard it would be to unionize in the UK, generally speaking, let alone around all the other turmoil that might be happening. Although I would probably argue it's not a smart move to make it a main focus. You don't want to overhype game creators to make them think something like that is happening when there's a good chance it won't. You want realistic goals and realistic timelines. Otherwise, you may very well set back your own efforts to unionize for decades if you have it just fall apart miserably. Or if you move too fast and then the wrong people are in charge of the union, and then you've just got a two-headed hydra of a problem instead of a single-headed hydra of the problem. Let's see. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article here. Amplifier Game Invest opens a new Seattle studio for CC7 Entertainment, called CC7 Entertainment, which this is, I guess, a spin on the CCP logo from RoboCop would be my guess, but looking at the logo, oh, it's C77. They typoed it. They literally typoed it. I was looking at the logo and I'm like, well, I see a C here, and I see a 7 here, and I see a 7 here. And then I look down here and I'm like, oh yeah, this is C77. Which almost seems like they just picked an address. Or I would go look into the law books of Seattle and see if there's a Chapter 77 under some kind of incorporation law or bankruptcy law that might be an indicator of their plans. There's an anime company that went bankrupt in Texas. It was called, I believe, ADV, and then they went bankrupt and somehow managed to keep the licenses to all the anime they had licensed and dubbed through something called Section 13. And so they made a new company that they transferred to like a shell corporation called Section 13 that based on some weird bankruptcy law. And so that's what I'm thinking maybe C77 means. They say they're going to focus on big action experiences for PC and consoles. They almost certainly are going to be thinking about making games for the Xbox if they're working in Seattle, where Microsoft is. Well, Microsoft's in Redmond, but that's just outside of Seattle, as I understand it. Honestly, it's probably a little too expensive to be running a company out of Seattle, if they really are running it out of Seattle. So that they may have made a mistake in just choosing a location. Moving on, we have a Gamma Sutra article here. The Nintendo Switch has surpassed 52 lifetime sales. There is also a story later on that says they don't have any intention of making a new console in 2020, is what they said, which I think is somewhat very believable.
When it comes to murder.
So let's go ahead and attack as much as possible. If he wants to defend, that's fine. I'll use this to bring him back next time. So yeah, I don't know if I can really budget it, but I still would like to get a Switch, and I don't think I would be safe getting a used one. But yeah, I'd like to get a cheap Switch on a good sale, and then play a couple of the games, and then move on with my life and gift the Switch to a somewhat deserving youth, as much as any youth deserves a Switch. Alright, let's go ahead and just attack with this and this. But honestly, I want to play Breath of the Wild, I want to play Odyssey, and maybe play Splatoon, and maybe a little bit of Mario Kart. I don't think I particularly even need to play a lot of Mario Kart. Okay. Let's go ahead and put this on the field and not draw a card. Gamma Sutra has another article, profits and sales up as Nintendo as the Switch continues momentum. It's basically the same article, just financials got reported. This is why we're getting information about Konami, the first quarter, first annual quarter of financials. This creature must be blocked by each creature able to do so. This is awful. So he has death touch. So he gets rid of my vindictive vampire. Next we have a game on Steam called Robotics the Escape, which looks like just a platforming game, a frustration platforming game with not a lot going on. I don't really see any enemies. 74 cents, English only. Achievements with numbers on it. Let's see. Do this. I have a 1 and a 2, so if he killed one of these guys, that would be... Oh man, I cannot do anything with that, can I? As long as this guy decides to still play it. Although I guess it doesn't matter too much. I just need 1 or 2 more health and lands, and then I could play Bola Citadel. And he's so low I could almost certainly win with Bola Citadel in 2 turns, if not 1. Just let him help me. Maybe I should have blocked that on second thought. He's taking a sweet time. We have a game here on Steam called The Spirits of Kelly Family, which looks like a point-and-click adventure game in first-person perspective, which is a little weird. I kind of want to put this on the fall list because of the first-person perspective, but I imagine this might be a little simplistic. So, it's $2.09, English and Italian. I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of short. Alright, we lost one of our guys. Let's bring back people then. And attack. Like, I've kind of destroyed his strategy, and he can continue to play this all he wants. It's not going to save him. Alright, so play this, and that's the end of the game, pretty much. We've won. We attack with all of these. Unless this card did something. Like even if he cleared the field, if this was the Heart of the Cards draw, cleared the field completely,
I will protect the virtue
I could
of this world.
probably still win with this.
The land fights for
Next
us.
we have a game on Steam called Pentasma, and boy is that flickering. This looks like this is a just flashing lights side shooter game. Doesn't look particularly interesting. It's selling it for 89 cents amongst a bundle of several other games for $4.66. English and Korean. No, I don't think there's anything there worth following. Right. I could have gotten him with Touch of Death, Taste of Death, or Bola Citadel. Let's see. And then I guess the question is, do I want to get more victories, or do I want to goof off and try and get ranked wins? I think I just want to get more victories. Right. Next we have a game on Steam here called Quandan Azuma Manor Story. Now, the problem with these games are that they look like they're PlayStation 1 era horror Korean games or Japanese games, and they just seem a little too simplistic in the graphics. Although if you were going to put this on the levels of a point-and-click adventure game, then the graphics are actually too good, and that's the problem. Most point-and-click adventures do the flat 2D animation style because it's way easier. And there might be a series of these that make them a little bit more popular, and that might explain this $19.99. It's English and Chinese and Japanese, so take your pick on whether this was originally created by a Japanese company or a Chinese company. Looking down here, this actually looks like it has more gameplay than it shows up here. The screenshots make it look like it is a point-and-click adventure only, but it's tagged as a just adventure game. I'm gonna put this on the follow list and see if there's any reviews that give it high marks. I highly suspect the answer to that question will be no. Next we have a game on Steam called Bibi's Adventure, which looks like a Super Meat Boy clone platforming frustration game with cutesy graphics, which there's something to be said with trying to do cutesy graphics, but I think you're probably targeting your game at that point to the wrong market. At least Super Meat Boy had the decency to throw enough blood around to tell people it's not for kids. This is $3.49 discounted, a bunch of languages supported. I don't see anything there of any real interest. But a game like that dangerously looks close to Fez. If I had not heard of Fez, if the reviews for Fez did not somewhat make it obvious that it was a game worth playing, I could totally see dismissing it like I've dismissed thousands upon thousands of other games on Steam. This is a problem of Steam having 10,000 plus games on it, and at most 3,000 that were really worth playing and owning. And I guess it would be quite a challenge even for me with my rather high output as far as how much games I play. It'd probably be a very large challenge to do even 1,000 games. I wouldn't be surprised if I haven't even covered 500 games or played 500 games in my entire life. But then again, how would I feel if I did play every game worth playing on Steam and I was in this weird situation where I'm waiting for the next game to hopefully be good because there's nothing worth playing that I haven't played already. That being said, I saw some footage of somebody playing The Witness. I kind of want to go back and play The Witness. There's literally no way I can justify it, though. There's nothing to be done there. It'd be nice if there was a DLC or a patch or something that would change the puzzles or randomize the location of the puzzles or something. And then there would be an excuse to go back and play it, but that's a problem. And certainly a lot of the games that I've been covering for my YouTube channel I have played before, and if I didn't have something to say about them, I probably wouldn't have played them a second time or third time. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Deep Sea Salvor, which looks like a low effort. It almost looks like a shooter from a first person perspective or a cockpit perspective. I guess it's more of an asteroids clone type game where you're flying around shooting fish. $6.29, which is too expensive, and it's English only. A little too simplistic. I don't think this solid color art aesthetic would really work. I don't think you can sell me on that being worth looking at for a long amount of time. That's almost an art aesthetic that would make sense if you were making a stationary still frame image, but not make sense if you were making a poster. Solid color objects that are easily identifiable at a first glance make sense, but as soon as you put movement in it, as soon as you put interactivity in it, it's not enough visual detail. Alright, next we have a game on Steam called Divine Miko Koyori, which looks like it's an RPG Maker game. It's probably one of these games, looking at how much thigh is being shown here, that has maybe half a dozen sex scenes that probably have been censored out and you'd need a censor patch. It does bring up an interesting question. We are kind of at the point now where if we reach next Friday, I'm going to start thinking that they're back to kind of censoring and bundling up the adult games, because I really haven't seen any adult games come out in about 2 weeks now. This is selling for $16.99. It's also bundled for games that are selling for $443.37 for 33 items, so they're charging quite a bit. It's English with Japanese full audio and Chinese subtitles also. Yeah. These type of games, though, still look like RPG Maker games, so they don't hit that level of something of importance to me. Okay. I should be able to play both Citadel next turn, so what I should do is attack this turn. And if he wants to block both of these, fine, because then I can use this to bring him back to life. Yeah, I have enough on the potential JRPG plate as far as games, the JRPGs I might play, that grabbing an adult one that's not going to be very high quality doesn't make a lot of sense. So we got 20 life here. This is where it's going to be difficult. I have 18 health. And this is going to be the dangerous part of this. We don't want to put too many people on the field, but we don't want to put too few. Play this. Well, so much for the too many problem. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Hyperdot, which looks like a slightly more polished Unity game than usual, but still a bunch of just shapes and images. Honestly, the logo looks more polished than even the game itself. It does. This is selling for $19.99 and almost feels like it has VR support, but it doesn't. It's English only.
Is a hunting party.
This is way too expensive. It says it has 100 levels, but nope, that's not something worth $19.99 in my book. Alright. Let's do this. We're down to 7. We can play this for 3. Do we have more things to bring back, or do we play that later? Let's see. Get rid of the trample, and then attack. And kill this guy. Block it or don't. I probably have lost. I spent too much of my health. Yeah, he's beating me. Unless he was gonna somehow give me extra cards I should have played this earlier, I guess. Just keep on going. We're doing good. We have a game here called Morbolbo Into the Maze, which looks like a low-effort, top-down marble maze game that seems to also sometimes shift perspective and look like you're actually controlling people instead of marbles. It's $5.34 discounted, English only, with a third-party EULA. Yeah, really looks asset flippy. Really doesn't look interesting. Same old song and dance. This isn't video game related, but The Good Place TV series had its finale. I thought maybe it had one more episode, but apparently not. It wrapped up fine without really saying any major spoilers. It didn't do anything amazing though. And I feel like they kind of left it open to maybe a sequel in a couple of ways. Because there was this running gag that in heaven you couldn't cuss, and so every time you tried to say cuss, you would say fork instead of the F word. And the main character has been saying fork twice while in heaven, but then I guess spoiler for the first season, it turns out that she was actually in hell, and that was why she couldn't cuss. And then earlier in the second to last season, they said when they were in heaven they could actually cuss. So she went from a fake heaven where she couldn't cuss to real heaven where she could, and then she got back into real heaven and she couldn't, which implies that she really wasn't in the real heaven. So they left it up in that way, but I don't know if that's really what they meant for people to take or interpret from that. It may just been that they were doing it as callbacks to memorable sections of the previous seasons. But there wasn't a big, oh no, you're actually in hell surprise or twist. Which is, I guess, a spoiler.
I'm proud of
Sorry,
all
but
those who stand up to evil.
I kind of wish that they had gone in slightly different direction with wrapping up the story, but they also were writing a story that had cosmic implications, so it's not super surprising that they kind of felt the need to softball it and not throw something crazy in there.
For reinforcements.
Yeah, no reason to play that right now. But yeah, I figured I wanted to mention that. Like that's one of maybe 4 or 5 TV shows at most I'm watching this season. And that and Supernatural, and I guess The Flash is coming back, and I guess I'll keep watching that. Supernatural is kind of wrapping up, and I'm not particularly thinking that it's going to wrap up particularly well either. But Supernatural also has just gone way too long, so there's very little they could do to make that work as a good series finale. Yeah, and off the top of my head, I can't even think of the other shows I might be watching. That's hexproof, so I can't do that. can do this.
I will hold them off.
Moving on, Gamatsu has an article here. Kingdom Under Fire, The Crusaders, is coming to PC in Q1 of 2020. I guess maybe that's a new game series. I don't recognize it. So here you have your standard elf male in male armor, and then your standard elf female in female armor, and then a bunch of nobodies in the background. It's practically become a tradition at this point, the ridiculous armor. I read the Warcraft 3 Reforged, which is a remaster of Warcraft 3, which is a game I don't even really remember existed. I saw somebody read out the terms and conditions there. I didn't read it myself. And yeah, it sounds awful. Completely, both insanely controlling and insane, and also probably not enforceable in any real way. But I wouldn't spend money and give business to Activision Blizzard on the chance that the contract can't be enforced, because you basically have to sue them. They even say in the contract that if you don't give us all the rights to any levels or gameplay modes you create, we will ban your account. And it also seems like they changed the client for the old Warcraft 3 to retroactively add in
Friendship.
mostly, it seems like, bugs. It doesn't seem like it's a good product outside of the crazy contract. And I kind of get what they're trying to do there. They just phrased it incredibly badly. Because what they probably were thinking is they didn't want a scenario where you have like League of Legends happen, and then somebody makes a game like Auto Chess, and then Activision Blizzard can't steal Auto Chess from Dota or League of Legends. And they've probably been bitten by that exact action before. So it's, yeah, I think they have. So I get it, but it doesn't really matter. It just makes them look like jerks, and frankly that's just the risk of business, is that somebody might think of an idea while playing your game and using your game level editor and end up making a more entertaining game. And Valve had to just kind of let Auto Chess, or I think it was Valve, just create their own game and become an Epic Store exclusive. I'm sure if Valve wanted to be litigious, they could have thought about having similar terms in their contracts or in their end user license, but it would be insane to do that.
I have let my friends down.
That was terrible. He just exiled all my cards. Moving on, we have a game on Gamatsu has an article, The Legend of Heroes Zero no Kiseki, I no Kiseki for PS4 launches April 23rd and May 28th in Japan. So these are characters from Trails of the Cold Steel appearing in, I guess, maybe a side story. And Zero is probably a male character, and Ao, not I, is probably a female character if I was to guess. Kind of want to see how these play. I guess this is more of a more pixel graphics RPG type game, where I think the Trails of the Cold Steel games generally have better graphics than that. Well, I'm not going to win this one. Again, I outplayed. So I probably should just concede now and save myself some time. Move on to the next game. Try to get those 15 victories. Next we have a game on Steam here called Viking Wars, which looks like it's a real-time strategy resource management game. Although the layout seems zoomed in a little too much, it kind of looks like a tower defense, and it looks pretty repetitive even being zoomed in. Yeah, I don't see anything special here. $1.59 discounted, which is too cheap, and English and Russian, which is suspicious to say the least. So, yep, another game not making it to the fall list. Frankly, pretty much that's the song and dance for all of January. I would like to. It would be interesting if I was keeping those kind of records to see just how many games actually did make it to the fall list for this month, because I suspect the number is going to be rather low. Maybe 25 games for the entire month. Maybe 50. Let's see. Yeah, I'd say somewhere between 25 and 50 would be the right number. I'd probably put at least one game every stream on the fall list, and I streamed 3 times a week, so actually that number would mean it would be closer to 12, wouldn't it? Now that I'm running the math. So yeah, let me re-evaluate that and say probably closer to 12 to 25 games got put on the fall list this month. Anyways, Gamatsu has an article here. Azura Striker Gunvolt Striker Pack is coming to the PS4 on April 23rd. I don't know what Azura Striker is. Azura, I think, is just blue in English. So this is like a Gunvolt series game. Yeah, and this may very well be a mobile version of it. No, I don't think it is a mobile gacha game. I thought maybe it was, but I guess nope, it's just another Gunvolt game getting DLC, and it seems like the Gunvolt games are getting some popularity. Play this, attack with this, and this and this. There's no reason not to attack. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Halo Beats, which looks like it is a rhythm kind of drum beat game, where it seems like you have 2 buttons that you have to press, maybe 2 triggers, left and right, as it goes in circles. This seems probably too simplistic though. This feels like a Chinese game. Very, very simplistic. Early access, English not supported, free, so I guess the price is right. Japanese only. Maybe this is an advertisement for something else, or an actual arcade game. I could see maybe putting 50 cents to $1 in an actual arcade game where you're actually playing like a drum. There's a game, I think it's called Drum Master, that's rather popular in arcades in Japan. Gotta keep on playing. It seems like it's being a little slow. Next we have a game on Steam called Mr. Fast, which looks like a top-down twin-stick shooter with some asset flip games. And it doesn't really feel like you're moving particularly fast. So bad name. It's early access, it's $1.79, bunch of language supported claims. It has probably copyrighted image as a as an achievement. Or possibly. At the least. So nothing there that needs to be on the follow list. That. Play that. Play that. Attack with everything. And next we have a game on Steam called Creeps, which just looks like a MS Paint level pixel graphics game. Looks like it's kind of a top-down hack and slash game, although it says it's an RPG game. It's $1.33, English only. Again, rejected. Alright, so here's some big news. Nintendo has no plans to launch a new Switch model in 2020, plus comments on software and post-launch support. There will be like new skins that they'll sell, I'm sure, so, but that's not new hardware. The quote here is, regarding the Nintendo Switch, we believe that it's important to continue to communicate the appeal of both the Switch systems and expand the install base, says Shuntaro Furukawa. Please note that we have no plans to launch a new Nintendo Switch model during 2020. Okay, good to know. So, people are now safe to decide whether they want a Switch or Switch Lite, the slight upgraded version or the older version. They could be potentially hacked, although I'm not sure even the older version could be actually hacked, depending at this point. I think I can just win if I attack. I don't think he can block everything. You've got, if he blocks this, he's still got 246 to win. Next we have a game on Steam here called Music Escape, which looks like it's a Beat Saber clone in VR. Is there anything here that looks unique? Well, there are enemies attacking you in one scenario instead of just blocks, and you're using nunchucks and swords, and that's about it. $19.99, English only. How many songs? 10 songs included, and no DLC to get any other songs. These Beat Saber clones, man. They need to die, and they need to die hard and fast. It's kind of amazing how long the delay is between a game coming out and being popular on Twitch or YouTube, and then all the clones finally getting released. Because that number is, it does seem like somewhere between 4 to 6 months to a year for some clones to get made. But yeah, it does take time to make games. Speaking of streaming services, the game launcher aspect of Discord has been removed, from what I hear, after they kind of abandoned that because it didn't work. And they're still trying to push Stadia at the moment, but not really trying too hard. One of the things I've maybe either take this as maybe emotional growth or take it as just dropping the ball as a YouTuber, but I've kind of not been keeping up with the YouTube updates and announcements. There might be tiny bits of information there that would help me improve my channel, but most of the time it kind of is, we're doing whatever we want that's ruining the interface for the studio beta, and it's really just boiled down into that. And on rare occasions they might talk about a new feature that they might be thinking about experimenting with, no guarantee that it actually is going to come out, or that new feature would anyway be useful. And I guess College Humor, as a side note, is just gone. Either that or I unsubscribed from them. I don't think I've seen any College Humor content air on the YouTube channel in at least a week or two. So I know everybody got laid off there, but they said they had like 6 months more of content, so maybe all of that is being hidden behind Dropout, or maybe they just shut all of that down because of legal reasons. Moving on, we have a game on Steam here called Null and Peta Invasion of the Queen Bug. This is labeled as a Metroidvania side shooter, which it kind of looks like it's that, with a lot of anime visual novel elements too. So, at risk of showing something that's not family friendly, it seems like you're fighting a bunch of robots and bugs, but it also seems like the camera might be zoomed in a little too much. There is something to be said here of some visual polish though. Enough to deserve at least some reviews, a look on it. They want this for $17.99 discounted. There's seems to be episodic content here bundled, so the actual game itself seems like it's selling for $38.69. Japanese full audio and English subtitles and Chinese subtitles. So this very possibly is going to be one of those games that is just too expensive. It's on the Japanese mentality of ripping off customers instead of giving good values to customers. Alright, how do we want to do this? Do we want to do no attacks? I think we want to do no attacks. And I think maybe see the beginning of the end as far as all the news, maybe not. Gamatsu has an article here. An Animal Crossing New Horizons themed Switch has been announced. Again, just skins, different colors, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to say about something like that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and draw a card so we can put this on the field, so we can put this on the field, so we can put this on the field. I didn't really play it quite right there, but should be fine. Probably should attack with the death touch creatures going forward. See. Open Critic has an article here. Will we get our first look at Spawn in Mortal Kombat 11 this March? This sounds like speculation. Also, I don't think people particularly would care too much, considering it's Mortal Kombat 11. Open Critic has gotten weird too. They seem to have kind of drastically shifted from what they originally wore into just another article site, and arguably an opinion piece, mostly article site, instead of more of a strict news source style article site. Alright, well, I don't mind if any of these guys die, so I'm just gonna attack. He can block all he wants. Yeah, I may get to the point where I need to mute Open Critic on Twitter, and that really wouldn't affect too much. And they haven't gotten too noisy yet. trouble with the pacing today. I don't know if I'm running a little sleepy, probably, but that was almost certainly the issue. But yeah, I'm getting little bits of lulls as I'm trying to play this level. Alright. Tap target creature. Play this. Attack with this, and this. We should be decently ready to go. See, next we have a game on Steam called Estella, which the animation on this looks really good, but it's already mixed.
Witness the
So I
wrath
don't know
of
what's
our
going
pack.
on here. This looks like this may be a player versus player
Your
Chinese MMO that is mostly showing itself off as being really pretty, which you definitely have seen some really pretty MMO cutscenes, and then the actual game being nothing like it. It has a $30 standard package, a $50 value package, and an $80 deluxe package. It is an MMO with in-app purchases. Also, on top of that, which I don't know if in-app purchases means you can just buy more, upgrade your package, or if there's other things that you can buy. It's English, French, German, and Korean, so I guess you would say this this might be a Korean MMO. Let's see. Yeah. Well, for me, it looks fine. Too expensive. It's just also not one of those types of games that I would play, because I don't play online games, particularly MMOs. So that's a pass for me. And here we have Bola Citadel, and literally all I have to do now is have 10 cards on the field so I can activate Bola Citadel. So I have 13 life. Can I get enough to activate this? Yes, I can. So let's not goof around. Let's just do it. Missed one. This is that card that makes that really annoying sound, so I'd never play it for that reason. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Brass Town Wrestling, which, despite the name, looks like a low-effort RPG Maker game that's not even widescreen. $10.79 discounted is what they want, English only. That's not gonna happen. Honestly, if you're not making a wrestling game, I could not imagine making a like WWE style universe to tell some other kinds of story. Like, there's no way I think you could do a WWE Telltale style game, because you run the danger of, first of all, the story being better than the storyline being told on a weekly basis, as far as WWE, and the funding there would just never be be high enough. Also, I don't think the interest would be there, frankly. While I did enjoy Rumble Rose's Double X as a lewd wrestling game on the Xbox 360, and I would surely enjoy another game like that, I don't think that there's any other kinds of games I would want to play where I play as a wrestler. Like, there was that, there is that one Guacamelee game that is a Metroidvania platformer where you happen to play as a masked wrestler, but that's kind of just a joke, and it's more setting it in kind of a silly exaggeration of Mexican culture and Mexican wrestling culture than it is setting it in a universe where wrestling characters would make sense. Like if the Undertaker was really like a demon from hell, or Kane was really a demon from hell in a story for some video game, that wouldn't make sense at all. Which I guess that's a long way of saying that wrestling is just too silly in its storyline to ever translate to video games, other than wrestling games, which is probably for the best. Moving on, Gamasutra has that article. Discord no longer doubles as a game launcher as the two non-core features get the axe. It won't be a game launcher via the library or offer snippets of video games news through the activity field. A decision made after feedback showed the Meta feature was quite pulling its weight. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't think anybody wanted Discord to do that. Discord's, I think, fine for its Skype alternative options, and that's pretty much all anybody ever wanted, and that's pretty much all they should have ever offered. It is the epitome of feature creep to turn it into its own storefront in video game launcher, because PC gamers in particular don't want another launcher. Now, if they had found some way to maybe integrate it into Steam, or sign a contract with Steam, and then Discord became the new chat client for Steam, which already has a chat client, maybe a merger there would work, but that's about it. Moving on, we have a game called Wildcats of the Wasteland, which looks like it's an attempt to make something like Fallout with just asset flips and some kind of attractive females, but you kind of can tell that there's nothing here. For a story and an idea, it's not terrible, but Adventure of the Brave Girls in the World of Nuclear War. Early access, $5.24, English only. But you can kind of see in the visual polish here, this isn't going anywhere. Or at least I'd be extremely surprised. That is a type of game that you probably would have to work rather hard to make linear and simplistic. So just to kind of limit the possibilities and the amount of development it would take to make that. You're not going to make something like Skyrim or Fallout. Even Bethesda does not successfully make something like Skyrim and Fallout, because they're always very buggy games. Next we have a game here called The Vertigo, which looks like a asset flip first-person shooter. Total garbage lying around in an empty world. $1.99, English only. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Brains vs. Zombies, which looks like it's a VR game where you just stand in one place and shoot at things. Although it does kind of have a slightly different art style. But I wouldn't say it's a good art style. It's coming soon, in English only, and requires VR. Alright. If we were to tap this. Can we attack with this? probably wasn't the right move. This guy may have tapped the other characters. Next we have a game on Steam called Prison of Sun, which looks like a text-based game of some sort. Looks very, very old. But it says it's coming out, came out in 2020. It's free to play, so that's good, but then it has a third-party EULA, which that's bad. And I still don't really think these types of games deserve to be on Steam. They probably would be better on something like itch.io, something more indie and not a professional storefront for professional games, which is supposedly what Valve's Steam is supposed to be. Gonna do no attacks this time. TechRaptor has an article here. Warcraft 3 Reforged reportedly made retroactive changes to the classic client. Let's see. So some of the people in the beta are claiming that list of features that have been changed for the classic version of Warcraft Fluid 3 that is included with the purchase of Reforged. According to this user, the features were previously available as recently as a day ago and now suddenly unavailable. Cross-region play, custom campaigns, clans, player profiles, ladder play, the Battle.net style chat system, the old style user interface, legal issues with a much more severe end-user license agreement, classic graphics are missing shadow, saturation, and some spell effects. The Reign of Chaos campaign is using bouncing decisions from the Frozen Throne. Additionally, a number of features were available in vanilla Warcraft 3 prior to 2018 that are no longer in the game. So Warcraft 3 seems to be just getting worse and worse as a product, not better and better. And you would think Activision Blizzard would know, like, having already irritated people quite a bit for the past couple years, that you'd think they would already know that now is not the time to bring people to higher levels of frustration. That's 2 characters. I think I have a victory here, because he can only block with one of these and then the other 2 win. Next we have a game on Steam here called Through the Darkest of Times, which looks like it's tagged as political, and it looks like it's some kind of strategy game. This is like a Nazi occupation style game. Not sure I really would want to play this, but it looks like it's at least somewhat historically accurate and not a troll game. This is $14.99, which is a little too expensive. It's English and German full audio, and then a bunch of other languages. I'll put it on the follow list. Doesn't feel like it's just joking or trolling, and that's something to be said, at the least. And we may just play one more game and then we'll be done. Here we have a game on Steam called Here Be Dragons, which looks like it's tagged as a turn-based game, and I don't even know what it is. It's taking a sweet time to load. Let me come over here and play a little bit and see if we can work out some of these other articles while that one decides to load. back to Here Be Dragons. It's got that sepia aesthetic, and it looks like some kind of turn-based game, almost like I want to say Slay the Spire, but I wasn't thinking of that game. I was thinking of the one with the dealer and the cards. This is $19.99, English and Polish. I'm gonna put it on the fall list. This feels like it has a chance of being something interesting, although it very well may not be. I guess that's true for anything, though. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Only 23% of Electronic Arts' 5.4 billion net bookings in the last year came from non-digital services, which is to say 77% of their net bookings came from people buying microtransactions or buying the game online digitally. Maybe that's included as a digital source. It also might be an indication that a lot of people bought the base games digitally, which that's going to be a sad statement for retail, but it would line up with GameStop's problems, wouldn't it? Although GameStop seems to have a lot of reasons that it's having problems. Next we have a game on Steam called Not For Broadcast from Tiny Build, which is a company I recognize, but I'm not sure exactly what they've published. And this is early access, $13.49, English full audio. I think what this is probably a censorship story where you're playing as the censor and you're doing yellow journalism and things like that. It's rated very positively, so I'll put it on the fall list, but it's also early access, so it's important to remember that a lot of these early access games are still in a position where if they don't ever actually come out of early access, I'm not willing to play them. See, Tiny Build also published Graveyard Keeper, Streets of Rogue, Pathologic 2, Cluster Truck, Hello Neighbor, Party Hard, maybe that's something, Punch Club, which I bought, Mr. Shifty, yeah, Lovely Planet, yeah. So, with the exception of Hello Neighbor, a lot of what they've published is not particularly remarkable or worth mentioning. It's not terrible stuff, it's just not great stuff either. They really could do well if they got one really good AA game or AAA game that they under their publishing belt. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam here called Elderborn, which looks like a Conan game in all but name. And seems like you're fighting demons and spearing demons. If this is a single player game with actual gameplay, kind of like that game Agony that didn't really have any gameplay, I might be interested in it, but then it also might just be a little too not family friendly for YouTube. It's selling for $11.99 with a Metal AF edition for $15.99, and then another AF edition that is cheaper, so that's weird. This is English and Polish, and it's a single player game. Well, it's rated very positively. I'm gonna put this on the fall list so I can think about it a little bit more and then move on to the next game. But it possibly a little slow. They're calling it a Souls-like RPG character progression with brutal first-person perspective melee combat. Which, on the face of the description, doesn't sound terrible. Next, we have a game on Steam called Simulacra 2, which looks like
Would you
one
like
of
to
these
see what's
games
left
where
of
you're
Sky?
mostly just looking at a cell phone. I'll put this on the follow list, but honestly, I don't think I'd be
Wait,
willing to play a
you
game
think
where you're
nature
mostly
is
looking at a cell phone
kind?
interface. Although, apparently I already own the original, so we could give it a chance. This is English and Chinese. I think there's kind of a horror element also in this one, compared to something like Another Lost Phone, which I think is not as horrific. Okay. Let's get rid of this because we can. Oh, darn it. Well, I suppose if this stayed alive and I could get a considerably large amount of people on the field, there might be a trick there. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article here. PlayStation Plus February free games feature the Bioshock collection and apparently a Sims game. This is an interesting screenshot to use because it would be kind of hard to recognize that this is a scene from a cutscene in Bioshock Infinite featuring the female main female character looking the other direction. So Bioshock, Bioshock 2, Bioshock Infinite, and Sims 4. But none of the DLC by the looks of it. With PlayStation Plus. Yeah, I guess
Still walk away.
The Sims 4 should probably be just free at this point. It should just be a free-to-play game with all the DLC around it. Chances are low that I survive this. My only hope is that next turn he plays 2 creatures and I can block and kill a creature, or he plays just 1 creature and then I can do Taste of Death and turn things around.
The mysteries of life are endless.
Next we have a game on Steam called Physics Box, for lack of a better way to pronounce that. Looks like a VR, basically gravity gun experiment. Doesn't look particularly that interesting though. And it requires VR. It's early access. It's free, so I guess the price is right though. I still have a lot of games to cover, don't I? We have a game on Steam here called Caffeine, Victoria's Legacy visual novel, which looks like a decently animated visual novel. So I would suspect Japanese. Early access, $15.99. English only. English only, but not full audio. I guess I put this on the follow list, and we'll see the reviews. Probably not going to get anywhere with that. Alright, let's do this. Play this. Play this. Play this. This guy can activate after 2, so I can't really get this down in very fast. So it'd be better to do 2 damage in the next turn to the face if I can, and just hope that I could get 3 or 4 more things on the field without dying, which odds are kind of low on that chance. See, next we have a game on Steam called Kana, which looks like it's a low effort
Tear it down.
RPG,
Tear it
or
all
just
down.
a really weirdly animated RPG. Like, this animation style looks very, very weird. Early access, $8.99, English full audio, single player. I don't know, should I give this a chance? It kind of looks like somebody's kind of trying here. That this might be an example of a game that shouldn't be in early access with not final graphics, but if these graphics did get a major update, there might be a chance. Might being, I guess, the key word there. Right. Yeah. What just happened there? Why did I take an extra bit of damage? That's crazy. I should have had 1, and then I was gonna play a bunch of the food to get more health. I guess maybe I should have played the health first. TechRaptor has an article here. Code Vein's Hellfire Night DLC launches. First part of the season pass. Really no surprise to me that Code Vein has been completely forgotten and wasn't mentioned at all really in the Game of the Year talks that I listened to or saw. Not too much. Maybe it was mentioned and I just have a negative bias and don't remember it. But it does seem like it was quickly forgotten, even though it's probably something that deserved a little bit more coverage and a little bit more hype. I kind of wish mainstream video game journalists did a little bit more of hyping these smaller games instead of talking about the big tentpole games of Microsoft and Sony and companies like that everybody probably already knows about. Moving on, we have a game here called Soccer Manager 2020, which looks like it's slightly better visually polished than most low-effort soccer manager games that exist. This actually looks like a game. It's still not visually polished enough. It's free to play, so I guess, you know, with in-app purchases. Like, this is probably one of the best. It's probably the best free-to-play soccer manager I've seen, and possibly one of the best soccer manager games I've seen on Steam, because most of them really are just scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to quality. Next we have a game on Steam called Black Powder Red Earth, which looks like an XCOM style game. Any of these images load. $14.99. English with full audio. Gotta get these pages to start loading faster. They're getting worse and worse about not being loaded up. Alright, back to Black Powder Red Earth. Yeah, it looks like an XCOM style game with a lot of video there. But I'm not sure that there's anything here I want to play. I kind of barely want to play XCOM, and if I was going to play any tactical style game, XCOM is clearly the one to play. So I'm going to say a pass on this just because it's not my style of game. play this. No attacks. Next we have a game on Steam called Astra Exodus, which looks like a space sim game. Again, not really my style, although I would say the art does kind of look a little nicer than normal here. Seems like you kind of have some unique looking aliens. Like, maybe it's a little too complicated, but maybe not. Seems like it's a turn-based wars in space game too, which, yeah, when I look at this screen, that doesn't look like just a player against an armada. It looks like your armada against another armada, which there might be something in that interests me. But then it's $26.99, which is far too expensive. It's single player only, English full audio, and then it's supporting Spanish only. And so they priced themselves out of a follow. I was pretty iffy to begin with it, but I'm definitely not willing to spend that much on a gamble on a space game. There might be something to the idea of having a turn-based experience, though, in space games. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Terraforming Earth, which looks like a platformer game, which is not what I would really expect from a game called Terraforming Earth. Some of those graphics look bad, but then you have some of it look kind of alright. It seems just a little inconsistent. We're calling it an adventure action game. It's early access for $25.49. Is this the same publisher? Let's check that in a second. And English full audio. Nope, just two people decided to put their game on Steam for $25. Once again, they have priced themselves out of any chance of me giving them a look. Do I want to attack yet? No. Next we have this game. I've seen a couple of announcements of this. It's supposed to be like Surgeon Simulator, except for it's Speaking Simulator. I was trying to keep an eye on it to see if actual speech therapists could use it, or if this was just going to be a joke game. It might work well for a speech therapist as like a breaking the ice style game, but it does also seem pretty silly. It is $13.49, similar to Save Jesus, which was a troll garbage game. English full audio, which you kind of need that, so I don't know what the sounds or audios you would get otherwise. This clearly is a joke game though, and it probably, besides the breaking the ice aspect, probably will not do anything to help anyone with a speech impediment. It is the first game from this publisher, so it's not the same company that made Surgeon Simulator. In all fairness, Surgeon Simulator also probably did nothing to make anybody a better surgeon or enter the medical field or do anything like that. If I could get Bolus Citadel, I could pretty much win. This guy is playing a lot of tentacles. And I feel like he's gonna play some strategy that turns a bunch of token creatures. Seems to be doing a lot of battlefield destruction and some deck destruction. Okay. Stop that. Stop that. And not do anything else. Put that on the field. Place this. Place this on the field. And then nothing. See, next we have a game on Steam called DanielX.net Paint Composer, which I don't know why you name a game that or a software. It frankly looks like a software from, says maybe 30 years ago, but then it's early access, so it's like emulating some software. $9.89 English one. Don't recognize a software like this, but maybe there was a old Mac OS or Apple software that this is reminiscent of. I just don't recognize it. I'm not particularly one to be interested in paint software, so alright, we have, I think, more than enough to play this next turn and bring everything back. Also, TechRaptor has an article. Fully recyclable packaging will be used for Sega Europe's PC games, which maybe is a good idea, but I mean, if it's recyclable plastic, that's fine. But if it's not, if it's just cardboard, which is I think what they're trying to do, I think it's going to be, yeah, the packaging will consist of a box from 100% recycled cardboard and material that can be recycled again. Printing will use water and vegetable-based inks. The entire package will be shrink wrapped in a low-density polyurethane or polyethylene. Yeah, polyethylene, actually, if I can pronounce that right, which is also 100% recyclable, according to Sega. I don't think that works great for a lot of people, frankly. I don't think that's gonna have better characters, better things for sale, better quality products. I feel like it's gonna get all dinged up and treated poorly, and I guess most people probably don't care. I don't think there are too many video game people that want video game shelves. There's still a decent amount of them though. There definitely is a decent amount of people that want their video games to look fancy and nice on a shelf, and recycled packaging is not going to help that, because things are just going to get dinged up and broken. Even the plastic ones were pretty much that. Well, that was an interesting strategy. I kind of wish I understood how they did it. Let's just focus in on wrapping up the stream here. We have a game on Steam here called The Secret Order 8 Return to the Buried Kingdom. This is a hidden object game. Not from Big Fish Games though. $11.99. English full audio. We have, let's see, my Twitter. How do I get back to my Twitter feed? Gamatsu has an article here. Dragoon for PS4 and Xbox One launches February 21st. Dragoon looks like a Fjord Noir mystery adventure game. Let's see if we can see a bit of, yeah, Oh, this was that like walking simulator game that was a little bit more than a walking simulator game. Yeah, it looks interesting. I'd say that thumbnail is not doing it a good service at all. Let's keep on moving forward. Trying to load a bunch of things. Gamatsu has an article here. Disgaea 1 Complete is now available for iOS and Android, now with auto battle speed boost, a cheat shop, and cloud saves. I hope all of those features are in the Steam version, because that would be very helpful, and that would probably put Disgaea 1 as the top JRPG to play. Because why not? Go through the Disgaea series, and if it's going to speed up the battles and auto battle, that's going to save a lot of time and be very helpful. And that's kind of the thing I'd like to see in all RPG games everywhere. Even like Borderlands, it would be nice, but it's not really necessary in Borderlands. But anything that's turn-based, anything that's very repetitive for no reason. Next we have a game on Steam here called First Day Home Defender, which seems like it's a low-effort tower defense, for the lack of a better term. Seems like your building gets bigger and bigger every day if you don't lose. It's $1.87, a bunch of languages. Yeah, it doesn't look particularly well. TechRaptor has the Twitch Prime February games, and bonuses have been announced. So we have Narcos, Rise of the Cartels, American Fugitive, Desert Child, Sterl, I can't even read that, and White Knight. Let's see. There's loot for PUBG, Teamfight Tactics, League of Legends, Madden, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, Black Desert Mobile, Raid Shadow Legends, and Forest M. Which that stuff doesn't really seem particularly interesting. Let's see. Hoverbike Racing RPG game Desert Child. Steerindin classic space shooter game. And a survival horror puzzler White Knight. So, not really great games though. Nothing there that looks like something I would have bought specifically, or even thought about or known existed. Next we have a game on Steam here called Code Shifter, which seems like it's a platformer where you switch between several characters from Arc System Works, but that may very well just be a sales tactic to sell a pretty bad platformer or a pretty bad Smash Brothers clone. Yeah, I think this is a pretty bad Smash Brothers clone. $14.99, English, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. Let's see. 30 frames per second locked. Seems to be a problem. Changing keyboard doesn't work. So, sounds like it might have some problems. And this seems like that kind of is the problem with a lot of the Arc System Works games. I'm going to put this on the follow list and give it a chance. Check back later. But, yeah. Some of these games, very, very popular. Other games, not so much. And if I was going to pick an Arc System Works game, I'd probably go with Kill Like Kill IF, which is mixed reviews. Wasn't too good apparently. Or JJ Missing Macfield, and then that's another one to think about. There's quite a few Arc System Works that I want to get, and then maybe if I get into fighters, I would try the Guilty Gear series. But I'm not sure how far or how deep you really need to dive on that. Let's see, we already talked about that. Now I'm seeing the beginning of the end. What happens is if I see a tab that's red, I kind of assume that it's the Humble Bundle tab icon, and sometimes it actually isn't. And so I think I'm a lot closer to the end than I actually am. Let's see, we have a game on Steam here called Fight, to the last. That looks like a typo in, but apparently not, because it's in the logo also. Well, it looks like it's just a top-down twin-stick shooter game. Doesn't look particularly special or zoomed out enough for that type of game. Early access for $6.39, English and Chinese. That's a little too cheap for that type of game also. Next, we have a game on Steam called Tanks 2020, which looks like a low-effort tank game. Basically an asset flip game. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Game revenue is down 21% at Microsoft as Xbox hardware sales slow. So you kind of can tell that they need that new hardware to come out. Although, I would also argue that Microsoft did not do a good job, particularly in the last year, of releasing any good first-party title games. So it's kind of probably their own fault. They should have signed a bunch of licensing agreements to get a bunch of exclusivity deals for as much as people hate them for this last year. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Mobile publishing platform Coda secures $4 million to expand operations. Coda, I've not heard of. Looks like it's a UK-based game company or mobile publishing platform. Let's see, we have some more things loading. Let's see, Gamma Sutra has an article here. Avakin Life developer Lockwood Publishing opens a Lisbon studio. Never heard of Avakin Life. It looks like it's probably a pretty low effort, trashy Sims clone if I was to guess. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's more of a mobile game than that. We have a game on Steam here called Subway Simulator that does not look bad, but it's kind of missing people. And yeah, now that I see the people, they look pretty bad. I'm not sure if you want I'm not sure what you want in a subway simulator. Do you want to see the insides of the subway stations? Do you want to see the subways? Do you want to see outside the windows of the cities as you're driving a subway? Do you want to drive the subway, or do you want to just ride in the subway? There are some games that are kind of arcadey style games where you drive subway trains. But yeah, I guess if it's a true subway, you may not even, it would just never come above ground anyways. This is $14.99 and it's bundled with another bundle for $50. English full audio. Yeah, it doesn't not look good enough to answer all of those questions and give me a feeling like it would be something I'd actually want to play. Next we have a game on Steam called Ministry of Broadcast, which looks like it's a platformer / point and click adventure game. It feels a lot like the game Another World. So I'm kind of willing to put it on the follow list and see if people like it. It's $13.49. It's a little too expensive. Third party EULA, single player only, English full audio. Yep. I'm going to put this on the follow list and see if people like it. These types of games probably pretty heavily built around the story you're telling. Yep. So if the story's good, then the game's good. If the story's bad, then the game's bad. We have a game on Steam here called Storm Chasers Tornado Island. I didn't curate any of the games, otherwise I would have taken something like this off. This is just a match 3 game. $5.59 discounted, English and German, which is not a particularly common combination of languages. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Untitled Goose Game developer will donate 1% of its income to Indigenous Australians. How long of its income, though? Going forward, or do they mean of its income so far? In the past 3 months, Untitled Goose Game made $1 million, so are they retroactively including that to give 1% of $1 million, or do they mean 1% of its income now that a couple months have happened and they're unlikely to get a lot more sales? Because that's a big difference. Anyways, next we have a game on Steam called Rising Up Up, which looks like a really ugly Tetris type game. It's a little bit different. It's kind of more like Clax by the looks of it. English is not supported, and they want $199.99. How this doesn't bring up red flags, I don't know. Chinese only. Like, clearly this is money laundering. Like, I don't know how you make any other argument there. There's no reason for that to be allowed to be on Steam for $200. Next we have a game on Steam. We have an article from Gamatsu. Toho Spell Bubble trailer and new songs crossfade video. So the rhythm puzzle is due out February 6th. Another Toho game of this Toho series that I still kind of fail to understand. Like, it would be really helpful if there was like an anime or a manga, and it probably is, I just don't realize it. Yep, this is just Bubble Bobble, which I think some of the Bubble Bobbles were named Bubble Bobble instead of something else, but I don't think it was a Toho game. Let's see. Here we have a game on Steam called Phageborn, which is an online card game, public beta. Was this the one that they showed off on Giant Bomb? Nope, this is a different collectible card game. Guess it would be fairly easy to jump in and try a different card game. I think they probably painted themselves in a corner though, going with Phageborn, because that feels like every creature, every hero is going to have to be a monster based out of a phage, just like a disease. So it's just going to be monsters versus monsters versus monsters. And while you can have some human-like monsters, and I kind of like this art style, and I'm willing to put it on the follow list, it's highly unlikely this is going to go well. Here they're talking about their monetization model. Right now it's online player versus player only, and a third-party EULA for the beta, which maybe is a little bit forgivable. English full audio. Yep. But still highly unlikely that it would gain enough traction. Next we have a game on Steam here called Windmill Kings, which looks like a resource management game mostly, with a little bit of tower defense battles. Yep, $4.49. Bunch of languages, but I suspect it's actually Chinese made, considering these Asian characters up here. Yep, nothing there of interest. Gamatsu has this article: Switch worldwide sales top 52.48 million. Pokemon Sword and Shield sales top 16.06 million. I guess that is a good question. I probably wouldn't want to play Sword and Shield, but I might be willing to play Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. So yeah, looking at the top 10 games here, I want to play Odyssey. I would want to play Zelda, Let's Go Pikachu, Splatoon maybe. Mario Party would be useless for me. Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, actually I should play that. And then Luigi's Mansion 3 would also be fine with playing that. And then Mario Maker 2 and Link's Awakening. Oh yeah, that too. I don't think I'd bother with Fire Emblem Three Houses or Astral Chain. Like, I could almost certainly play that on Steam. So yeah, there's like 10 games that I would have to burn through probably before like Christmas of 2020. That would be difficult. That's pretty difficult. An ask. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Bookbound Brigade. It probably wouldn't be terrible to leave some of these for Monday, but I'm, I guess, not going to. We already looked at this game, actually. It's a group of people that have to work together and have different abilities, and they're all attached. They turn into like a wheel when one character's in charge. Why is this not on my follow list already? Interesting. Maybe they changed the name. Or removed the listing and then relisted it. I definitely saw that game. Maybe I saw it on Tech Raptor or something. Here we have a game called Hollow Island, which doesn't look particularly interesting at all. Looks like it's a mostly dungeon crawler in the darkness. We haven't had a lot of games with dark screenshot syndrome lately. Gamatsu has this article for the PS4. Umahara Kawase Fresh launches April 23rd in Japan. Yep. Umahara Kawase series really exploding in the past couple years. Much more than I thought it probably should. Let's see. The YouTube CEO tweeted, let's see, on January 29th, this, and she tweets about YouTube gaming probably once or twice a year. So excited to give at YouTube Gaming, which is basically a shuttered independent service and just a new skin for YouTube, viewers more live choices with Call of Duty League, Overwatch League, and Hearthstone, because they signed that contract and she's promoting that contract. So those leagues will now exclusively stream on YouTube, and I kind of want that to succeed, because if that makes YouTube a lot of money, then YouTube will start focusing more on gaming streamers, and instead of focusing on getting people like The Rock, or making YouTube Red, or making YouTube TV, or thinking of some other stupid service or option or feature to change or remove or add, it potentially could focus her mind towards something that would probably be more productive. Unlikely that that's going to happen, but I don't know how much that really is Susan Wojcicki, or if that's just YouTube corporate structure in general is why it makes all these dumb mistakes. Next, we have a game on Steam called Zapitalism, which looks like a low-effort strategy capitalism simulator. It's not even out yet. They want you to wishlist it. English full audio. But it will have a third-party EULA when it comes out. Almost feels like somebody rushed to make a clone of Gazillionaire, the re-release of that very old game. Next, we have a game on Steam called Thunder Kid 2 Null Missions, which this is a very ugly looking, looks like platform shooting game. They want $7.99 for that, English only as far as the language. And apparently sign up has ended for ranked draft, but that doesn't matter. Yep. So we now know ranked draft Theros Beyond Death will be available to us. And we're doing really good on gold actually, so heck, I might be able to even open like 50 to 100 packs next expansion. Of course, it would be kind of silly to play that ranked draft right now when you could just play it in 3 hours and 46 minutes for the next season. So we'll probably go ahead and just do that next recording, Monday. Here we have the game The Pedestrian. We saw this out or get teased like 2 years ago at E3, and it's now just being kind of sneaked out before E3 comes out. It was an interesting concept where you're playing as a sign character working his way through many different signs, and so it's actually a pretty simplistic platformer with the extra meta of it being depicted in a real world and doorways going to different locations. I bet this is actually fairly simplistic though. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bit disappointing. That being said, we're going at 100% positive on those ratings, and I can't argue with that. In fact, I don't even really need to put that on the follow list, do I? I can just put it on the wish list right now. Discounted to $17.99, which is a little expensive, and it's English only. Yep. That looks good. The Pedestrian's a great example of a game that probably shouldn't have been hyped a couple years ago at E3. I think it was hyped at E3, but very easily could be hyped right now at E3 as a game out now, a game you could actually play. Next, we have a game on Steam called Deezen, which looks like it's a first-person shooter in a maze. I'm not sure what this really is supposed to be. It kind of feels like it's all over the place. So I don't know if this is an asset flip game or what. Visually, it looks a little bit too polished just to be called an asset flip. It's $4.49, English full audio. I'm going to put it on the follow list. It kind of feels like maybe you're just in an area with some maze-like elements while also having creatures jump out and try and kill you and having to shoot them. Next we have Coffee Talk, and according to Giant Bomb, this was kind of boring in its storyline because you are just kind of talking to people and hearing their boring lives and then also serving coffee. But again, this is rated very positively. I'm not sure I really want to play something that is effectively half visual novel and half cook served delicious, but this one has been kind of hotly anticipated for a couple of years. Also, it's $11.69 and a bunch of language support. Yep. And I guess I can just mostly leave it at that because I don't think too much more that can be said there. I would say read the reviews and give it a good thought before buying Coffee Talk. Anything that's half visual novel or even looks like it's half visual novel should be considered long and hard. TechRaptor has an article here. The Rainway Xbox One beta is here. I don't know what Rainway is. Let's see. It works like the now defunct Steam Link. You can stream games you currently own from your PC to another device like your phone. Now the Rainway Xbox One beta has launched. You can play your PC games on your Xbox One through the use of this app. I didn't know Steam Link was defunct. And clearly this is like a TechRaptor ad hidden as an article, but I could see that. I could certainly see the benefits of streaming from your PC to your couch in the other room. Next, we have a TechRaptor article. Patapon 2 Remastered dances to the PS4 January 30th. I think we kind of knew that. I think Patapon 1 was a PlayStation exclusive, and I don't think it ever came to PC. TechRaptor has an article. Tekken 7 adds replays and tips in its new update, which those feel like things that should have been in the game originally, but maybe they were fixing other bugs and improving on the game, although I'm not sure that's really the case. This is probably the first review I've seen from TechRaptor in at least a couple weeks, if not one of the first 5 reviews for this year. They have a review for, what was it? Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. And what are they going to say? Either they're going to love it or they're going to hate it, you know? That's the case. They gave it an 8.0. Remind's new story expansion has a little too much retreading, but the fantastic new boss fights are the highlight both of the DLC and Kingdom Hearts 3 as a whole. Here's the pros, here's the cons. I'm not going to bother to even read them out. I don't particularly care about Kingdom Hearts, so. Gamatsu has an article here for PC, PS4, Switch, and Vita. Thieves Roulette third trailer and PC demo has been updated. Updated challenges, graphics, and performance. I have not even heard of this game. Thieves Roulette is the upcoming choice-driven puzzle game inspired by Danganronpa and the Zero Escape games, which I guess I should get around to playing those first. Let's see. We'll roll the dice on this being YouTube family friendly and see what this shows. Seems like it is mostly puzzle games and then characters talking to you. Yeah, not much of a trailer there. Probably why I haven't heard anything about it. For PC, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One, Dead Cells DLC The Bad Seed launches February 11th. Which I kind of think you have a good chance of having a better experience with Dead Cells once all the DLC is out. Kind of in the same way that if you were playing The Binding of Isaac right now from a new save file, you probably would have a lot more variety and a lot more entertainment than if you were playing The Binding of Isaac when it was just a flash game. And by that I mean if you're playing The Binding of Isaac Rebirth right now with all the DLC, that's probably more entertaining than playing the original game. Next, we have an article here from TechRaptor. The Uncharted movie is delayed yet again. I don't think anybody should be surprised there. It's just never going to happen. There's too many cooks in the kitchen for something like that. We have a game on Steam here called Impossible Soaring, which looks pretty, but it also seems like it's probably just a flying game. Maybe it gives you points when you fly near something. But, yeah. This would be interesting as a gameplay mechanic between two levels. If anything, there's been a lot of games lately that have a long load screens. So if you could create a system where you're just flying around big empty areas that don't take much memory, and that allows them to unload one area and give you something to do while the next area is loading, and then you just kind of have a Minecraft style infinitely generated terrain in the middle as the loads are taking longer. That would be kind of nice. Couldn't do it in all games certainly, but you could do it in some. This is $4.49, English only. Do I want to put this on the follow list? Yeah, let's see if people actually like it. I still probably would reject this game, but if people just think it's amazing, I'm probably more sold on the idea because of what I just proposed more than anything else. TechRaptor has an article here, The Warring Success of GTA's 5's Diamond Casino. This is an opinion piece. I don't think we need to go much further into this article other than to say it's an opinion piece. I don't think I've ever seen this staff writer though. Interesting. Which may mean something. The guy who was infamous for being terrible at playing Cuphead tried to make a video playing another game, and it got lambasted pretty quickly. Doom Eternal. He tried to put a video up of him playing Doom Eternal, and he seems like he's consistently still pretty bad at playing video games. As I understood it, that guy though is more of a tech journalist, and his side assignments are on once a year to play a video game, and that's it. And he, I think, writes for a source that you really wouldn't come to expect as a valid source for video game reviews anyways. But yeah, he should have learned his lessons the first time and never put up another video of his gameplay. Moving on, Komatsu has an article for the PS4 and Vita. The romance visual novel Aonatsu line is coming April 23rd in Japan, which, yeah, you got some anime girls showing up on the front of it. As potential, I guess, romance partners. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Calm to Us and Skybound will partner on the new Walking Dead mobile game. I've never heard of this company, Calm to Us. It's South Korean developer publisher. They apparently funded into Skybound Entertainment, and Skybound Entertainment owns the Walking Dead license, but they also seem to have pretty much no money. So I think they also own the Telltale Walking Dead games at this point, and finished it but made them Epic Store exclusives. So we'll see if that ever comes away from being an Epic Store exclusive. That would be a series that I've spent a lot of time on. I would kind of like to finish the series. Next we have a game on Steam here called Valentine's Desire Steam Edition. I guess Valentine's Day is approaching. There might be a small Steam sale, but there aren't a lot of romance or Valentine style games out there besides visual novels, and visual novels rarely go on sale. I think that's probably best where to leave this. This is $6.99 and a third-party EULA in English full audio, allegedly. This looks like garbage. There's not a lot of video games where romance plays a role in the story, and it isn't just thrown in as an excuse to have nudity or lewd comments being made. There's not a lot of that even in movies and TV anymore either. something probably should come back a little bit. Have a long romance that actually, I guess The Good Place kind of had that. Yeah, they had a pretty long romance story going on in The Good Place. So it's there in a few cases, but it's harder and harder to find. Next, Gamatsu has an article here. Elia Paradigm Shift is coming to the Switch February 8th. I think we already talked about this, but I was going to look up this game and I didn't get around to it. And with that, that brings me to the Humble Bundle. And I only have like 2 more victories to get more experience and 7 more victories today if I just want to get all the rewards I can. Let's see. There's a Humble Choice Bundle, which is the new thing, which was called Humble Monthly Bundle. There was the Humble Sweet Farm Bundle, which was mostly farming games. Somewhat, I think. Pay $1 more and you get Niche, a genetic survival game, Magic Hat, and Evergarden. Pay more than the average of $8.24. You get Equilinox, Samarus 3, and Ultimate Chicken Horse. And pay $10, you get Stardew Valley. So, yeah, I think we had already talked about that bundle. I suspect there isn't any other bundles of games, but we might see some in the next week or so as the month rolls over. And then that brings me back to my Twitter feed, and let's just see if there's any video game news that's worth mentioning. Google responds to Stadia complaints over a lack of announcements. That's probably responding to a lack of responses. TechRaptor is going on a tear listing articles as far as why Tokyo Mirage Session is for Persona fans. They have like 2 or 3 articles that seem to be pushing people to play Tokyo Mirage Sessions. See what else has happened. I kind of need to mute Gamasutra whenever there's a GDC, because it's just so many repeated articles promoting GDC right before and right after. And a lot of articles here that are just repeating the same thing over and over again. And I don't know if that's Twitter's fault or if that's just because I'm following a lot of people. I'm also getting the feeling that Twitter is, while it's still very much useful for my needs, I'm not sure that there's as much popularity for Twitter as there really should be. It seems like it might be dying slowly. Very, very slow. Fable Fortune's luck runs out, so is that game shut down. Nutaku launches Project QTX attack on Moe H crossover. So 2 games are crossing over from Nutaku to adult games. Yeah. The weird thing though is that it seems to me like the big thing right now is Instagram, and I don't have a clue how Instagram would work for me since it's mostly just pictures. Let's see. Sony Interactive Entertainment posted updated total sell-through numbers for the PS4. As of December 31st, it sold at 1,181 million. In December 2018, it was 924 million, so it's sold about 200 million, 260 million roughly units over the last year. And yeah, I'm starting to see repeated tweets. I think that is that. So here we have a Game of Sutra article. Google responds to Stadia complaints over a lack of announcements. What is their response? They talked to GameIndustry.biz and they explained it was offering weekly updates on the Stadia community forum alongside monthly posts on the Google keyword blog. Google says it understands users want to hear more as far as the 120 new titles to be brought to the platform in 2020. Let's see, so sounds like a pretty boilerplate response without any new bit of information to respond to. So probably not worth their time to even have responded on that. And then we've got some other games that I'll leave for Monday. We have an article here. Fable's Fortune Lux run out. The servers are shutting down in March of 2020. The hybrid card game strategy game. They put some artwork into this, and so you would hope that this gets re-released in some future Fable game, that this art just does not get wasted completely, but it's very possible this art was completely wasted. It seems like a pretty cool game, but it just wasn't able to reach a level of stability the publishers were happy with. So apparently it was buggy, according to them. And then this Nutaku article is mostly family friendly from TechRaptor. But yeah, I guess we could show off this first part. Nutaku launches a Project QT, which I guess is this art style, and Attack on Moe H, which I guess is this art style crossover event. So two of their lewd adult games crossing over, the cheap mobile game things that you probably don't want to play, even if you were inclined. They're probably not that good. Okay, well, that's gonna be it for the stream. If things go well, maybe I can manage to stay awake a little bit longer and play some more of Fez. Otherwise, I'm off to basically gonna take a mini vacation for the rest of today if I don't play more Fez, and take most of tomorrow off also. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.